Video 261. How to report elder financial exploitation, who to call and what to expect. Knowing the warning signs of elder financial abuse is only half the battle. The other half, knowing exactly who to call and what actually happens after you report it, is where a lot of families freeze up, unsure if they're overreacting or unsure where to even start. Here's a clear roadmap. Start local. Adult Protective Services. Every state has an Adult Protective Services agency, and it's typically the first and most important call to make if you suspect financial exploitation, especially if the senior lives alone or is being isolated by the person you suspect. APS can investigate, connect the senior with services, and work with law enforcement when the situation warrants it. You can find your state's APS number through the National Adult Protective Services Association's website or by calling the Elder Care Locator at the number maintained by the Administration for Community Living. When to also call the police. If exploitation involves theft, fraud, or a caregiver actively controlling and isolating the senior, file a police report in addition to contacting APS. Financial exploitation is a crime in every state, and a police report creates an official record that matters both for potential prosecution and for disputing fraudulent charges later. Don't worry about having every detail perfectly documented before you call. Report what you know and let investigators guide you from there. The financial institution side. Banks and credit unions are increasingly trained to spot and report suspected exploitation themselves, and many now have dedicated fraud departments for exactly this situation. If you notice unusual withdrawals, new authorized users, or a new power of attorney appearing on an account, contact the bank directly and ask to speak with their fraud or elder financial abuse team. Banks can often freeze suspicious transactions temporarily while an investigation proceeds, which can prevent further loss while APS and law enforcement do their work. Additional resources worth knowing about. Beyond a PS, the police, and your bank, a few other resources are worth having on hand. The Federal Elder Care Locator can connect you with local aging services beyond just exploitation reporting. If the exploitation involves a scam originating by phone, mail, or online, the Federal Trade Commission, and for anything involving the mail specifically, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service both take reports and track patterns across many victims, which can help identify and stop repeat offenders. And if the senior has a case manager, financial advisor, or attorney already, loop them in too. They may notice related red flags you haven't seen yet. What actually happens after you report? After a report, APS typically conducts a welfare check and financial assessment, which can take anywhere from days to weeks depending on urgency and local resources. They may connect the senior with a case manager, recommend a change in financial oversight like a new power of attorney or a court-appointed conservator, or refer the case for criminal investigation. Recovery of lost funds isn't guaranteed and depends heavily on how quickly exploitation was caught and reported, which is exactly why acting on your suspicion quickly, rather than waiting for absolute certainty, matters so much. Reducing the risk before it ever starts. Reporting matters, but prevention is worth just as much attention. Setting up account alerts for unusual activity, adding a trusted contact to your bank and brokerage accounts. Specifically authorized to be contacted about suspicious activity without full account access, and reviewing your accounts together with a family member on a regular schedule all make exploitation harder to get away with in the first place. Many banks now offer this trusted contact designation for free. It's worth asking about specifically the next time you're at your branch. So as we wrap up, here's the real takeaway. When something feels off in an older adult's finances, hesitation is the enemy. Elder financial exploitation is far more common than most families realize, and the sooner you report it, the more likely it is that losses can be stopped or even recovered. Adult protective services, law enforcement, banks, and federal agencies all exist to help, and you don't need certainty to make the first call, you just need concern. Acting early isn't overreacting, it's protecting someone who may not be able to protect themselves. Now, here's your improved call to action. If something feels wrong, unusual withdrawals, new friends suddenly involved in finances, a loved one becoming isolated, trust that instinct. Call Adult Protective Services this week and start asking questions. You don't need proof, you don't need paperwork, and you don't need to wait. A single phone call can trigger an investigation, freeze suspicious activity, and connect your loved one with real protection. Thanks for spending this time with me today. If this helped you feel more prepared to act, feel free to join me for more videos like this. And remember, protecting someone's finances is protecting their safety. I'll see you in the next one.